Schwarzes. No, seid nicht mehr Sugar. Laws im Gain! Tap and walk. It's all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Be gesund. Take off. Hast du gesehen in deiner Leben? They darker than us. Woof!
And the rest is history.
That's right. The rest is history.
Rodney and Rippy, it is so good to see you again. Oh my gosh. All right. So that is so, there are people, at least a few people watching this that are like, what was that? What was that we were just watching?
That was the legendary Mel Brooks.
Mel Brooks
at his best, man. I'm telling you.
I'm grateful that my producers found that and have started our two conversations now. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the chat session and welcoming Rodney, Alan, Rippy back to the show. I'm so grateful that you're here. But our producers find, like last time you found your little commercial from Jack in the Box that I had no idea you had a long career as the face of Jack in the Box as a little boy, and then here that iconic film Blazing Saddles but watching it, it's like, okay, you've got some Native Americans there, you have some African Americans there, and then all of a sudden this chief starts speaking Yiddish or something.
Right.
It's Mel Brooks, the Jew, and it's like, why can't we enjoy that stuff today the same way that we used to enjoy it?
I have to tell you, like, I bumped into Mel and I told him, I said, Mel, I told him to his face, I said, if you do Blazing Saddles 2, I want to play Sheriff Bart. And he was like, oh, Rodney, we could never make that film again. I said, do it, Mel. Please do it. Do you know, I literally, if Mel said he was going to do it, it would bring every top A-list actor and comedian out of the woodwork. They would be kissing his shoes to be in that film. I'm telling you.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. And you know what? I think that's what this world needs. A little dose of reality, a little dose of humor, because we are, I tell people this all the time. I said, we're all stuck on this planet. We ain't going nowhere. We're going to be here. So we might as well get along. We're not going anywhere.
I love it. I'm going to quote you. I'm going to quote you on that. We are stuck on this planet. We ain't going anywhere. Let's get along. I wasn't really expecting to go in that direction, but that clip just brought it all out. We need to be able to laugh at ourselves, dude. We need to just be able to laugh at ourselves at being so, stuck on non-essential stuff, right?
Yeah.
Crazy little things. Here's the way I like to put it.
Yeah.
As human beings, we have exponentially more in common with each other than any of our variations, any of the, skin color, hair length, height, weight, body style, body type, all those minor differences. Would you rather have a different color hair or only have one leg? Right. It's like, shave all your hair or cut off your leg. Those little differences are like those minor things, but being human, you have so much more in common. Let's focus on those things, man.
Yeah.
Right. Well, good to have you back.
Good to be back.
I had a really bad hair day last time we were on, so I put the hat on to fix all that.
Oh, it's cool, man.
I do. Now we only have a half-hour show. Last time I had to cut you off because you have so many stories to talk about that I want to hear about, and I loved hearing about. For those of you who didn't see the last episode, Rodney told us how he got his foot in the door in Hollywood, or how the door just kind of opened for him. You were what, 4 years old or something like that? 3.5 years old, and your life changed dramatically.
Yeah.
And you mentioned your brother and sister also. In fact, they got gigs before you did.
Sure. They did.
Did they pursue or continue with careers in Hollywood, or did they just become your entourage?
Funny, part 2 of that first interview, after My sister had worked. My brother had an audition. I landed a Jack in the Box spot. Mom sat us all down and said, "Okay, kids, you've all worked. I mean, this is really great. What do you think about it?" And my brother and sister, who were older, looked at each other and they were like, "Mom, we don't like it." And my mom was like, "What do you mean? Beverly, you made some money. You could set aside things for college. And Kenneth, there's going to be more auditions." And they were like, "Mom, we don't like it." All the makeup and fuss and the lights. For my brother and sister, it wasn't there for them. It just wasn't there. And so my mom looks at me at the age of 3.5 and she says, "Okay, Rodney, I know your brother and sister don't want to do this. I know because they don't, I'm sure you don't. So just go ahead and tell me now and we'll wrap this up." And I'm like, "No, Mom, I'm having a good time." And my mom was like, "Seriously?" And I was like, "Yeah, Mom, I'm having a good time." So my mom was like, so she told my brother and sister, "We can still revisit this. It's okay. No pressure." And she looked at me and she said, "Well, Rodney, as long as you're having fun, I'll keep taking you to auditions." That was it.
God bless your mother for having the presence of mind to sit down and actually ask you guys, right? Because there's stage parents. Jacqueline Edwards says, "Great to see you, Rodney." Jacqueline Edwards is one of our viewers from Germany. She lives in Germany. So we have an international crowd watching us. We don't have a huge crowd, but we have an international crowd and we're growing in numbers. But your mother, to have the presence of mind, because there are stage parents that are kind of living vicariously through their kids and they put pressure on their kids and they make them do this stuff. But your mother's like, "Well, it looks like we have this as an option in our life to move forward in this direction. Let's see how the kids feel about it." And she asked you guys, God bless her for that. And that she let you do it. You're like, "I want to do it. Let's do it."
I made my decision at 3.5. And you know what? I was blessed to have had a mom that understood life. And she really understood leadership as a mom. And so did my dad. It was just that I saw how my mom and dad coexisted, how they worked together, how they bettered our home, how they took care of us. And so, my mom, she gave us love and guidance, but yet free will at the same time. And it wasn't like it was nothing in it. My mom was just a country girl. There wasn't nothing in it for her. She wasn't in entertainment. My dad wasn't. So she just thought it was a hoot. But one thing I will say, if you can go back through some of the archives, which I'm going to send you, you got to pop some of these up one day.
Yes.
Some of the cool outfits I wore, my mom was my designer. So I would walk around like a freaking rock star in blue jean jackets and rhinestones and with bell bottoms and platforms. And people would go, "Oh my God, look at his outfit." And my mom would sit there and snicker under her breath. And they thought, "Mr. Rippy must have some designer." And it was my mom. It was my mom.
Speaking of moms, all right. So your mom was your stylist and your manager, agent, all that stuff. Well, this right here, Bonnie Creighton here, is my mom.
Hi, Bonnie.
God bless the moms. And
hey, Mom.
I call her Miracle Mom because she's about to turn 78 years old, and she's had a couple near-death experiences. And as a lifelong medical professional, it's not just I felt like I was dying. No, she knew she was dead. Like 90 seconds one time, and then was another. So every breath that she breathes, every time I see her, every time she types something in, it's to me, it's a gift, right? I get, I have more time with her.
That's serious. Yeah.
I do want to talk a bit about your parents a little more. Now, because of my experience, my oldest daughter had an agent and actually has an agent again. So she was a child actor in some commercials, didn't hit it big like you, but we made some money. She made some money. Sure. And then now she's returned to it and has an agent, is doing pretty well it's mostly commercial modeling and commercials and stuff. Now, we were required to open something called a Coogan account.
Oh yeah.
You familiar with all that? How far back does that date? Did you have a Coogan account?
Yes, I did. And a lot of people think that when kids are doing commercials, I was 3.5 years old, you also had to keep your grades above a C level.
Yep.
Because you couldn't get a work permit. So when kids are on these TV shows, you literally have a teacher on the set. So it's not like you get to party and miss school and all that other stuff. I would have to take homework, and you have to do the same amount of time that you would do at school on the set. So it's really double duty. People don't realize that children actors go through a lot. There's a gentleman out here named Paul Peterson. And Paul Peterson, remember Paul Peterson, the actor? He was a child actor, and he has an organization that helps out for children's rights in the entertainment industry. And he's just amazing. And he made sure that kids were getting paid properly, that they're not being overworked. So, yeah.
And it's good. You have the advocates, because if you think at the top level, the executive or even the director, it's like they have all these pieces that they have to put together to get this thing. You know, their client that says, we have a commercial, you got to do it, and here's your budget. And so they're thinking of all the parts, and a child actor is just a little piece and can be treated like a piece, just a piece, you know, with all these moving parts. But children need special attention. You know, they shouldn't be ground up and spit out. And that's what the Coogan account was. It was like the money that they get paid is not legally, right? The parents used to just take that money or abuse, you know, spend it all. The kid earn the money. And so the Coogan account, it's like
protect a trust account.
Right off the top, right? You make a certain amount. Your agent, if you have a manager, your agent takes a percentage, your manager takes a percentage. But then the Coogan account, before anybody else gets to touch any of that money, it's like 15% automatically goes straight to that account. That can't be touched. That child can't touch it. Nobody can touch it until they're 18 years old. So educating some people out there. But then the parents do get the rest of that, right? And that makes sense, because I've got to raise this child and feed this child, etc. So when you were 18, did you have that Coogan account had probably built up?
Oh yeah, let me tell you something. My mom and daddy loved me, and let me tell you something. My dad, self-made man, he didn't need my money, and he just thought, poor little happy Rodney, he needs his bread down the road. And thank God that I had the parents that stay out of my Coogan account. And yes, when I got 18, I was going off to college, and my college was paid for completely. And you know, for my high school graduation, I bought me a 71 Stingray Corvette Classic for myself, cash, and still own it till this day. Thank you. And,
really?
Oh yeah, I'm a hot rod guy. So anyway, the whole deal is that is what it's all about, you know. And thank goodness my mom and dad took care of me. They followed the system, had the Coogan account, and like I said, as soon as I graduated high school, I moved. Well, I was at the time I went to high school back in North Carolina. But I came back to California, went to Cal State Dominguez Hills, got my degree in marketing and advertising, started my own ad agency, my own production company. I hadn't looked back. All
right. I want to look back a little bit right now, back to Mel Brooks. So now, how old were you in Blazing Saddles? So you played basically the sheriff, right?
I sure did.
You were the sheriff as a child. How old were you then? Was that like
I was like
4, 5?
I was like 5. I think I was around 5 years old there. Yeah.
And did you have lines? Did you
funny? Let me tell you a little story. Do you know Mel Brooks thought it was funny to have me in every scene? So I was kind of like this little black kid, like Where's Waldo, walking in the background. So when we shot this thing, even when the horses were coming into town, Mel thought it was funny just to have me all by myself wandering in the background, like, where's that little kid going? Where is his parents? In the middle of all these crazy scenes. But as they started to edit, I got edited out because, you know, something might have happened, might have been a camera angle bad. But the whole point is, Mel wanted me in every single scene. He thought it would be funny to have me everywhere throughout the film, but I landed in that one major part when the Indians surrounded us. That was it.
So you ended up on the cutting room floor, not completely, right? That was an important scene. And, you know, my dad actually, little story of my mom and dad, they were, there was a movie called Catch-22.
Yeah.
And so my dad and my uncle were extras in Catch-22, and it was filmed down in Mexico. And it was when my mom had my older sister, and my mom went down with them, and they made a camp for all the extras down there. And I think I was conceived in Mexico on the set of Catch-22, but they cut out.
Been a wild set.
But they cut all the extras. Like they ended up on the cutting room floor, and that's part of the industry, right? The director, the writer, the director. Oh, there's mom. What was that again? What a fun time that was, right?
Yeah.
So reflecting back, but the director has a vision, and the writer has a vision, and they shoot as much of the vision as they possibly can.
Oh, yeah.
But then the final product happens in a dark room, right? In a dark room, sitting with the screen, and and trying to make something coherent. And I have a friend who's a very established producer. Home Improvement was one of his babies, and he told me, essentially, when you go to shoot, you get about 50% of what you want to get, and then you might be able to get some reshoots, but then you just have to make do. You have to change the ultimate vision to fit what you were able to shoot with the budget enabled you to shoot. And Mel Brooks had a vision of, I guess he just fell in love with you, man. He just wanted you all over his movie, and then somebody had a different idea. It didn't work or whatever in the cutting room floor. But it's nice to get that. Oh, here's mom. Mike was conceived on the beach in a tent in Guaymas, Mexico. Well, there we go. Sorry, mom. She's reflecting back to that moment.
Beautiful. Sounds beautiful.
Yes, Catch 22 with Robert Culp and Bill Cosby. All right. So the cutting room floor. All right. But after that, what other projects did you do? I do want to talk more about Blazing Saddles.
Oh, wow. I mean, from Blazing Saddles, then it went to Oh God Book 2 with George Burns. I did all the shows during that time.
I have to go back and rewatch all these now.
Yeah, $6 Million Man, Police Story, Dr. Welby, MD, The Odd Couple. Man, just everything. It was funny. When I did the $6 Million Man, the whole set made me think that he really was bionic, and I was all freaked out, like, oh, the bionic man. You know, he's got all this strength, and so I remember going up to him and go, "Are you really bionic?" And he goes, "Hold on to my arm." And he bends down and he picks me up off the ground, and he was a pretty strong guy, and I'm holding on over his bicep.
Lee Majors.
Yeah, Lee Majors. I'm like, he really is bionic, you know.
Yeah. The sound didn't happen when he did that, right?
The sound didn't happen, but it was in my head. I heard it in my head. It's no problem. I heard it. I was like, yeah.
Question for you. Now, do you have a reel of all those, or do you have copies of a bunch of this episodes?
Some of these things I have copies of. It's funny. I get an email, and people will email me stuff, and I go, God, I didn't have that in my collection. And it's funny. I've went to autograph signings and, you know, like Comic-Con and different things, and people will walk up literally with pictures like, mwah. Yeah. And I'm like, where did you get that? And I'm like, dang, I don't even have that shot. And I'm like, can I have that, please? And so anyway, I barter and do things, and I end up with things in my collection. And so, but yeah, it's wonderful. You never know who's collecting what these days.
That YouTube helps a lot these days, right? It's like now that we have this connectivity to the universe, right? We can find stuff that we previously would have thought, oh, it's just a memory. I have to, reflect back. I'm telling you, I've had kind of out of body experiences every now and then, discovering something on YouTube. I'm like, what? Oh my gosh! I didn't know if I would ever hear this song again. Yeah, that's amazing.
Good old Mattel toys.
Now, so based on our last conversation, I know you and I are pretty much the same age. We're probably within a year of each other. Now, I consider myself a late bloomer. Like, you're an early bloomer, man.
Yeah, well,
you bloomed really early. And so we're coming at this from kind of two ends of the same spectrum. I got my foot in the door in Hollywood at the age of 35.
Cool.
In the casting department of a reality TV show called Super Nanny.
Wow.
And it was season 1 of Super Nanny. I got my foot in the door, and then I ended up, raising to the level of, like, right now I'm an editor and a producer, and I really feel like I'm just begun. I'm working on a really big project that's all mine, right? So that's what dreams are made of, right? It's like,
that's right.
If this thing really happens, it's life changing. And
but
it's a slog, man. Development in
Oh, yeah.
Hollywood,
Mhm.
development in Hollywood is a long process, and
Yeah.
most things never get made. You know,
Mhm.
most scripts that are optioned or purchased in Hollywood sit on a shelf and never get made.
Right.
I know you are a part of a project that is in that process right now that you
Mhm.
mentioned last time.
Right.
Remind me the name of it.
The Celebrity Shootout.
Oh, that you'd mentioned that, but there's
Yeah.
also a film about
Oh,
the
the
World
film
War or
is
the Civil War, or
the
is it
that's
Revolutionary?
Bucks of America. Bucks
Bucks of
of
America.
America. And that is a revolutionary war film. It's a period piece. And it is about the group of militiamen that kind of led the charge at Bunker Hill. And a lot of people don't know about these incredible. This is actually a flag. This is actually a COVID mask,
Yeah,
but I was given this wonderful little COVID mask. But this is the Bucks of America flag. And if you get a chance, just go to Google and type in Bucks of America, Bucks of America, and some very interesting things will come up. And I'm supposed to be a producer on the project as well as one of the militiamen acting.
um, see, that fascinates me, and I did mention this last time.
Mhm.
It's true histories, I think, that are the wave of the future. If I have any say,
Mhm.
it will be dramatic historic stories, true stories
Right.
that will take over the industry. Like we've got superhero.
Hmm.
We've got remake. We've got
Hmm.
sequel.
Yeah.
It's like there are no original ideas out there. Well, what about actual things that actually happen that will benefit people when they learn about them, right? That
Right.
will, like,
And
you will be
inspired.
entertained, inspired, and
Yeah.
it's true,
Right.
right?
Right. The facts are the facts. And I think that everybody, there are so many different people, wonderful people all throughout America's history that have contributed, from African Americans to other immigrants who are migrated here, and inventions and things, and the Asians. Just so everybody, we're all in this thing together. And so, why trip? Let's all celebrate our great accomplishments. Let's love one another. Let's respect one another and give everybody their due. That's it.
Yeah. I I can't avoid going here because we're already there.
No.
We're talking about it. So here I am.
Mhm.
I'm a white man, right? White man. And there are people out there that will look at me and go, your ancestors are evil. I'm like,
Mhm.
really? I am married to a Chinese woman, and my kids will forever be
Oh,
a mixed race, right? Like,
right, right.
I don't care about my ethnicity, right? I don't give a rip about what color I am.
Mhm.
It's like, I love my wife. God gave me a wife. I'm convinced
Right.
that was the only woman for me, and my kids are amazing because of it, right? And so
Yep.
people just looking at me would never know any of that about me, and they would just judge me on the color of my
Mm.
skin,
Right.
right? And it's crazy, but I you and I, we're like fast best friends that just met.
I sincerely, and I hope to work with you, brother. Keep me
Yeah.
in mind. It is fantastic. May God bless your project. May your dreams come true. Everybody has these these wonderful projects in them, and I encourage anybody when they're writing, when they're producing, I'm like, shoot it, do it.
Yeah.
Don't think it can't happen for you. And as you go there, I have to tell you that I was raised in a household where I was told there's only two type of people: good people and bad people. I'll
Amen.
be honest. I'll be serious. My parents were more critical of black people than anybody. If something happened on the news and today a bank robber, my dad was funny. He was like, "Was he black?" No. Whew. Oh my goodness, great. Because my dad just did not want my
He's like,
dad.
making a bad name for us.
Exactly. And my dad was like, man, because my dad worked hard. I saw my dad get up in the morning, it would be dark, and he would leave and he'd come home at dusk dark. So I know what work is. I mean, and I work till this day. I grind. And I'm the hardest working person on most projects and things like that. I believe in it. And it's good people like you. The one thing is, we all just have to admit our shortcomings. That's all it is. You can't say, "Oh, that didn't happen. We didn't do that." Yeah, you did,
Yeah.
but it's the new generation to correct it and push us all forward. That's it.
I keep using these spiritual references. I'm like, that's good preaching, Rodney.
Hey, don't make me. Oh Lord.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'll preach.
That's it.
So, real quick, I want to tell one real quick story. But before that, do you have like an online presence? Do you have a YouTube channel? Do you have anything we can promote, like where people can come and see more of you, or a
Yes.
website?
You can catch up with me on Facebook, Instagram. Wow. I mean, Rodney Allen Rippy, I'm there. You know, I'm around, and I can come back to you guys. Anybody want to catch up with me? Go see Mr. Michael here.
Dude,
he can take care.
I'm
of
glad you're back, because I do want to do this on a regular basis. All right. So,
Hey, fingers crossed.
A quick story about my history, since we were talking about that. My dad was born in, well, he says Tennessee, but the hospital is on the Virginia side. So he was in a tiny town called Bristol, Tennessee, Virginia. The state line goes down the middle of the. He lived in Tennessee, grew up in Tennessee, hospital, born in Virginia. But his grandfather, so my great grandfather on his mother's side, was a doctor, I think, in a town called Mountain City, Tennessee.
Okay.
And I did an interview with my dad on YouTube, and he described it as, everybody called him, and he used the word, and I can't, but the N word, doctor.
Wow.
So they referred to my great grandfather, my father's mother's father, I think,
right,
or something like that, as the N doctor, because he's the only one in town who would take care of the black people in town.
God bless him. Right.
And he and so it's like good people, like, and so there were bad people and there were good people. Exactly what you're saying. They're just people that understand that, like we said earlier, the things we have in common so far outweigh any of our, variations. These beautiful variations that we have. We should celebrate them,
right,
but not divide around them. And we're doing our part right here, right now, right? You and I are just brothers.
That's right. That's right. And you know what? That's what we got to do right there. Take life a little easier. That's all we got to do, bro.
Take life.
Yep. And that's the name of my That's the name of my new album that just got released by Sony. Sony Music has just released my wonderful CD, Take Life a Little Easier. So it is available on Amazon and on Spotify all around the world.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to pitch you. We wanted, so it's so people can go to Amazon and find
Amazon Music and pull up Take Life a Little Easier. You can buy every cut. There's 11 selections of moi. Play it for your little kids. There's beautiful music there for your little kids. You don't have to worry about anything bad or negative, because Take Life a Little Easier was all gumdrops. I'm telling you, it's good stuff. So
this is a re-release. What was the original release?
74 on vinyl, but it's never been released. And so Sony decided to release it digitally. So it's all around the world. So get your copy.
All right. So I am a music guy as well. So that's a whole nother conversation, right? Like going into the studio. Did you write any of this, or they gave you the lyrics and had you do it? Or
I was just a little kid singing. There was a guy by the name of Al Capps that was the producer. He did a lot of it. It was on Bell Records originally, that now ends up in Sony's wonderful archive, because they gobbled them up. And a lot of great people. But if you listen to the song, I mean, it was big. I mean, so many great people involved with the project. So I just sang. I was a little kid, but there's a couple of tracks on there, and I looked on there and it says Rodney Music, and I was like, does a brother have a publishing company he don't know about? I'm like, gotta get my attorney on that.
Right,
but anyway, yeah, but it's all good.
I'm going to ask you more about that next time, because, dude, you've lived a very, very full life, and
the best is yet to come.
Right, there's more to come.
Yes,
right?
Sir.
We are out of time. All right, thank you, Rodney, for coming back, and we'll look forward to your talking about recording an album as however old you were, 7 years, 5, 6, 7 years old. Bye, everybody. Stay tuned for the next episode.